Hello, friends. Welcome to my channel, Learning All Aspects of Food Safety. As we discussed in the last class, we had a brief introduction to what is food hazards and what are the major classification of food hazards, where we discussed about biological hazards, microbiological hazards, physical hazards, chemical hazards, allergenic hazards. And we discussed only in detail about microbiological hazards, biological hazards, and physical hazards. So in this class, we will be discussing in detail about chemical hazards. So we'll get into the PPT. So first we will learn what is the definition of a chemical hazard. What is chemical hazard in food safety? So chemical hazard is a contaminant of chemical nature that enters the food during the food preparation process or food production process. It can enter the foodstuffs either by leakage, spillage or other accidents that happens during food processing or food preparation. So we will learn into some of the cases of chemical hazards that has happened, so we can understand the importance of learning the possible hazards that can happen in food industry, especially the chemical hazards. So these are some of the cases of chemical hazards. In 2008, Euro 125 million Irish products were destroyed due to pork and beef contamination with dioxins. So what are dioxins? Dioxins are nothing but they are a group of chemically related compounds that are persistent environmental pollutants. Okay, POPs. 2006, Seven Seas Limited, who are actually manufacturers of cod liver oil, they withdrew several batches of cod liver oil due to contamination of the same component, that is dioxins. So dioxins are nothing but chemically related compounds that are persistent environmental pollutants. In 2002, another case, Britain's main supplier of freshwater prawns, they withdrew several brands due to presence of nitrofurins. Nitrofurins again is another chemical component which actually is a cancer causing drug. Nitrates and nitrites. They are actually preservatives which are added to hams, bacons, sausages so as to prevent the growth of microorganisms such as Clostridium botulinum, Clostridium perfringens. And again, these components are very much dangerous because when they are added to a quantities which is exceeding the limits, they can cause symptoms like drowsiness, dizziness, graying color of skin. Then chemical additives, monosodium glutamate, MSG. Monosodium glutamate again is a flavor enhancer, actually flavor enhancer, which again, if it is ingested in large amounts, it causes burning sensations in chest, neck, and abdomen. So we have sometimes thought why when we go and eat food in restaurants or in hotels, we feel the food is much more tastier, or we can tell, especially the fried rice, noodles, etc. When we eat, we feel it much more tastier than the one which we prepare in home. This is mainly because they add flavor enhancers like monosodium glutamate. So now let's talk about the examples of chemical food hazards. So that is, it has been an easy acronym has been used in order to remember. That is CAT, cleaning chemicals. C stands for cleaning chemicals. A stands for antibiotics and additives. P stands for pesticides and preservatives. T stands for toxins, mycotoxins, natural toxins, marine toxins, etc. This is just an acronym, okay, for you people to remember. See, CAT. So C stands for cleaning chemicals and pest control agents. A stands for additives and antibiotics. P stands for preservatives and pesticides. T stands for toxins. Now, cleaning chemicals and pest control substance. So you know that in any food industries, there will be usage of cleaning chemicals. So what all we use for, what all purpose we use this cleaning chemicals? For sanitizing the surfaces, for sanitizing the work tables, and for our personal sanitization. That is for we use hand sanitizer, we wash the hands, etc. So they are actually an unavoidable part in any food industry. So when we handle these chemicals, it has to be very careful. If there is any spillage or leakage, we make it sure that it is cleaned at that time itself. Okay, we doesn't keep it for afterwards. We have to clean it at that time itself. So cleaning chemicals will always be present in any food processing plant. So there is always a chance of contamination through cleaning chemicals. And pest control substance. We know that pests are actually a very serious problems in food industries. Rodents, rats, mice. So this pest control substance, that is poisons, baits, and other substance, they also can cause food contamination if not used appropriately. Antibiotics and food additives. Again, we know that during rearing of livestock, we give them antibiotics, vitamins, hormonal injections, etc. That again, it can be hazardous to human health in large quantities, and they are also considered as chemical hazards. Food additives. What are food additives? Food additives are actually an unavoidable part in any food that is being now available in the shops. You can see, if you see the ingredient list, you can see what all type of food additives are added to the food so as to enhance the texture, to enhance the flavor, to enhance the taste. So here you can see food additives are nothing but they are chemicals that keep the food fresh or enhance their color, flavor, or texture. So these are the categories. So you can just go through this food additives, which involves anti-caking agents. So what is the purpose of anti-caking agents? They stop the ingredients from becoming lumpy, that is solid masses. Okay. Antioxidants prevent food from oxidizing or going rancid. Artificial sweeteners, they will add more sweetness to the product. Emulsifiers stop fats from clotting together. Food acids maintain the right acidic level. Colors enhance or add colors, and nowadays we know kids are more attracted to this colored chocolates, colored foods, and it's actually very pleasing to see, isn't it? So but all these things actually add up to a great serious health issues that we doesn't know. Humectants, it keeps the food moist. Flavors add flavor to the food, and the list goes on like that. Flavor enhancers, they increase or enhance the flavor. Forming agents, they maintain uniform aeration of gases in food. Mineral salts enhance texture and flavor. Preservatives stop the microbial growth in food. Thickeners and vegetable gums enhance texture and consistency. Stabilizers and firming agents maintain even food dispersion. Floor treatment improves baking quality. So these are all coming under food additives. Okay, the list goes like that. Glazing agent improves the appearance and can protect the food. Gelling agents alter the texture of food through gel formation. Propellants help propel food from a container. Raising agents increase the volume of food through use of gases. Bulking agents increase the volume of food without major changes to its available energy. So food additives involves a list of items as we have discussed here. So you can just have a go through all the agents which we have discussed here. And what food additives can cause? It can cause digestive disorders, respiratory disorders, then skin problems, nervous disorders. So in digestive disorders, it is mainly diarrhea and colicky pains. Then nervous disorders, hyperactivity, insomnia, irritability, respiratory problems, asthma, rhinitis, and sinusitis. Skin problems, hives, itching, rashes, and swelling. Now coming to the third one, that is pesticides and preservatives. So this pesticides, it includes some categories like herbicides, which is controlling the weeds, insecticides to to kill the insects, nematicides and molicicides to control worms and slugs, rodenticides to deter the mice and rats, fungicides to inhibit or prevent the mold growth. And also we know that grow the crops, we use fertilizers. These are again very hazardous when ingested at higher levels. And even preservatives, as I told you earlier, one case we told nitrites and nitrates, which are added to hams, bacons, and sausages. So this, when if it exceed a particular level, again, it is also cause a great problem to human health. Okay. So preservatives used too much can be harmful to human health. And examples of preservatives include sulfites, which are used in wine, and nitrates, which are used in meat. So that's about pesticides and preservatives. Coming to the fourth one, that is mycotoxins, marine toxins, and other natural toxins. So mycotoxins are nothing but the toxins which are produced by fungus. They actually grow on variety of crops and foodstuffs, and also can thrive in warm conditions as well as moist conditions. It can cause again a variety of health problems, which includes cancer, organ damage, gastrointestinal distress, and reproductive and immune system dysfunction. So you can understand what all are the harmful effects of these chemical hazards on human health. Then marine toxins are nothing but chemicals and bacteria which can contaminate certain types of seafood. And when the seafood is ingested by human, it again causes foodborne illness. And the seafood, it actually appears normal, but it may be contaminated with this marine toxin. So marine toxins are nothing but chemicals and bacteria which can contaminate the seafood. And similarly, acrylamide. Acrylamide are all examples of chemical hazards. A potentially harmful chemical which is formed when starchy foods like potatoes and bread, they are cooked at temperatures above 120 degrees Celsius. So heavy metals, for example, lead, mercury, arsenic, it can be present in marine and land environments. Okay, so their accumulation in body also can lead to harmful effects over time. Now, for example, you can tell fishes like mackerel, tuna, and swordfish, they contain higher levels of mercury. So when we consume this fish, right, the mercury level content increases in our body and thereby cause serious threats to our health. Rice, it absorbs more arsenic, okay, more arsenic from soil than other plants due to the way it's grown. So rice has large amount of arsenic. This again, when we consume the rice, these chemicals get inside our body and cause serious health issues. Then another category is microplastics. This has been, a growing concern in food industry because what happens is when this plastic materials, right, when they are exposed to heat and UV light, they break down into smaller particles called microplastics, and they in turn can come into our food chain either through animals ingesting them or from packaging. So a recent report by Food Standard Agency shows that it is actually a large and growing problem. It's becoming a great concern. Okay. So when all these chemicals can actually enter into the food, or when it can contaminate the food, at what stages? So chemicals are used and created at various points during food production, starting from farming, harvesting, slaughtering, processing of the food, transporting the food, handling, and even cooking. So in all these stages, these chemicals can be used and created at various points during food production. Now, how we can prevent chemical hazards in food industry? So the first one is safe chemical storage and usage. That is, we have to store the chemicals in a safe manner, and they should be always labeled. And we have to thoroughly check every time for any damage or any leaks or any spillage. And if there is any leakage or spillage, it should be cleaned right away. Then we have to stack containers appropriately and clean up the spills immediately. And all the staff who are actually handling this chemical should have a thorough knowledge about which chemical is used for which purpose and what to do in case of any spillage or in case of any leakage. They should be knowledgeable about what to do. Okay. And always, follow the manufacturer's instructions for that particular chemical and use appropriate PPE kit. Then another way to prevent chemical hazard is, as I told you, pest control is actually needed, isn't it? So for this pest control, we will be using poisons, baits, chemicals, etc. So that should not contaminate the food. So a better way is to outsource the pest control. That is to do the pest control by another company. Okay, we can just give a third party. Okay, pest control management. So the risk of this pest control contamination, it will be much more reduced. Staff training, that is a very important thing. The people actually should be knowledgeable about what all chemical hazards can actually happen, what all chemical hazards can actually happen in a food production process, and they actually should be properly trained about how to safely handle and wash the food and chemicals to avoid contamination. They should have good record keeping, how to clean up the spills correctly, and what to do if something goes wrong. So staff training is a very important part. Then invest in appropriate machinery. So machines, rather than simply detecting only the foreign bodies in food, they can take care of quality assurance, performing various inline checks of food products at once. So I hope you had a knowledgeable session about chemical hazard. So we discussed about what is actually a chemical hazard, the classification of chemical hazards. We also had an insight into some of the cases of chemical hazards which had happened. And this classification of chemical hazards, we discussed about CAPT, that is C stands for cleaning chemicals and pest control agents, A stands for antibiotics and additives, P stands for pesticides and preservatives, and T stands for toxins. And we also had a discussion about each one of them. Also, we discussed what are the methods so as to prevent this chemical hazards in a food industry. So thank you for listening patiently to my, thank you for listening, guys. So if you like this video, please share and also subscribe to my channel, Learning All Aspects of Food Safety.